A new moon in Scorpio, November 1st, 2024. Power struggles, sex, financial entanglements, mysteries, intrigue, secrets, death, rebirth, regeneration, transformation, shadow work. Hello, my name is Eliane Nicole. I'm your astrologer and tarot reader, and in this video I am going to talk about the new moon of Scorpio, November 1st, 2024 at 5:47 a.m. Pacific time, so adjust for your time zone accordingly. And before I get started on the interpretation, I just want to say, if you're watching on Instagram, I'm only going to post the first 5 minutes here. The entire video will be available on my YouTube channel, Eliane Nicole. My YouTube channel is my name, Eliane Nicole. And if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Please hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Please like, please comment, please share. It helps me in the algorithm, it helps me grow my community, it helps me grow my business, and it puts me in a position to continue to give these free astrological offerings. If you're watching on Instagram, please make sure that you're following astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole. Please like, please comment, please share. Free for you. It helps me out a lot. And now, without further ado, I'm going to get to the interpretation of this new moon in Scorpio. 9 degrees 35 minutes Scorpio, and new moons are when the sun and the moon align, so they are seed planting moments. And whether we're aware of it or not, we are planting seeds at the new moon, so we might as well plant them with some intention and awareness. New moons, the new moon chart tells a story of the entire lunar cycle. So in this case, that lunar cycle is from November 1st all the way to November 30th. So really cleanly, it's the whole month of November, which is also interesting because that's not always how new moons line up. But yeah, this new moon tells a story of the month of November. And we have a new moon in Scorpio every year, but what makes each year unique is how all of the other planets in the sky are positioned, particularly Scorpio's ruler, which is Mars. And this year, Scorpio's ruler is in Cancer. And Mars in Cancer is where Mars is considered debilitated, because Mars is the god of war, and Cancer deals with things like home and mothers and family and safety and security. And so you see the god of war in the sign of, these more tender issues is there's some edge there. Not only that, as the new moon perfects, Mars, the god of war, is in an opposition, applying to an exact opposition with Pluto, god of the underworld. The opposition is exact November 3rd, but it's building at the new moon. And so it's in the new moon chart, and therefore this energy is present through all of November, although it perfects November 3rd. This Mars-Pluto opposition is one of the most intense alignments of the entire year. Mars opposing Pluto has to do with power struggles, brute force, ruthlessness, domination, abuse of power. Because it's in the late degrees of Cancer and the late degrees of Capricorn, we're dealing with power struggles or brute force or abuse around topics of family, safety, security, mothers, but also these Capricornian issues, which are about, money and hierarchical structures, systems, governments, institutions. And so it's a very intense time in the world, and for many of us in our personal lives as well. This transit is going to be more personal to people who have planets in the late degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. But it can also involve people who have planets in the late degrees of the water signs or the earth signs as well. And it affects different people differently depending on your own astrological coding. Another thing about this Mars-Pluto opposition is there's a T-square to Juno, the asteroid goddess Juno. Juno is the wife goddess. And so this T-square can pose a threat in, marriages, long-term business partnerships, creative collaborations, but on the world stage, alliances, long-term alliances can be under threat during this time. Now, Juno in the T-square with Mars and Pluto can also indicate that there's an important choice that needs to be made by, married couples or business partners or creative collaborators or, political alliances, whatever, during this new moon cycle. Let's see. I want to talk about what it means on a personal level, and I also want to talk about what it means on the collective level. When I do one-on-one readings with clients, I focus on personal astrology, and we look at your specific chart and your specific alignments, and it gets very specific to you. But when I do these videos, I like to talk about how it might present personally, but I also like to talk about the collective, especially right now, because such an important election is coming up in this cycle. And this new moon chart tells us so much about what's going to happen with the election. I already did a very specific election prediction video, and you can go back and watch that video. I don't want to go through all of that as much, but part of the reason that I came to the prediction that I did is because of this new moon chart and how Mars, the god of war, is in charge of what happens and in this lunar cycle. And I predicted what I predicted. You can go back and watch the video if you want to know what my prediction is. I'm not a psychic. I'm an astrologer. I'm reading a language of the cosmos. There is not 100% certainty. Astrology is a language of mathematical probabilities. I said what I saw. A lot of astrologers are seeing other things. No matter what, we see that there's contention and warring and fighting about whatever the decision is, and that fighting goes on all the way for the next 6 months. And this Mars-Pluto opposition, even though it perfects November 3rd, it comes back around again in early January and then again in April. So it really is a 6-month storyline that we're looking at in many ways. So there's that. And I will be here all the way along, guiding you through as the transits happen and as the story builds and unfolds. But for now, I want to talk about this month. Other things about the Mars-Pluto opposition that is ruling the new moon are that Mars is forming a sextile to Uranus in Taurus, and also a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn, and a trine to Neptune in Pisces. And so these are the outer planets that are definitely more collective in nature, and they are the background landscape upon which everything else is happening. And because Mars is sextile Uranus and trine Neptune, there's a feeling of just so much growth happening. These are growing pains that we're going through. So even if there is this war and this abuse of power and, this ruthlessness and all of these things that are going on, the bigger picture is that this is growing pains for humanity, and it's an evolutionary push towards the future. And we're being brought out of our comfort zone so that we can participate and co-create with where the next era and the next generation needs to go now. We've got to move forward now. Pluto is leaving Capricorn. Pluto's at the 29th degree of Capricorn and getting ready to go to 0 degrees Aquarius, which is the ground zero of the new era, the point of all possibilities for this new Aquarian era. And we've had a taste of it. Pluto has dipped its feet in there, and we've already started to see some of the themes emerging: AI and robots and driverless cars and, digital currency and, education happening online and working online. And, it's very much where we're going in the Pluto Aquarius era is an elementally different era than where we've been. And all of these outer planets are changing signs in 2025. But, again, I'll be doing a Pluto and Aquarius era video coming up closer to in mid-November, where I really break down all of the ways that the culture is changing. The culture is changing on every single level, but I don't want to, this is not what this video is about. This video is about the month of November, and so I want to keep it here, but stay tuned for my Pluto and Aquarius video. Yeah. Whew, so much to say. It's such an exciting, exhilarating time to be alive. And that's what we have to remember, is that our souls chose to be here at this time for a reason. And it's not to put our head in the sand like ostriches. It's not to be scared. It is to dive in and lean in and co-create and dream the dream of the new world. Neptune, Pisces, Mars, sextile Uranus, and Taurus. Like, there are unexpected, tangible gifts that we are going to get from all of these oppositional forces and all of this warring and all of this, perceived darkness, because the darkness defines the light, and it's all inextricably combined. And we have to look at it as exciting rather than scary. And we have to look at, the things that happen that we don't understand as also all in divine order, and that's really what the cosmos are saying. So the sun and the moon, one of the beautiful things about the alignment is that the sun and the moon, as they align at 9 degrees Scorpio, they are in a trine to Saturn in Pisces. Saturn, the great disciplinarian. Saturn, the great authoritarian. Saturn, father time. Saturn, arbiter of karma. The trine is a harmonious alignment. Scorpio and Pisces have so much depth. This is a soulful time. This is a time that's cultivating a lot of soul. I love that. And all of this water, there's a very healing element to this, as we're going through this transformation. The trine between Scorpio and Pisces reminds me, it feels like a baptism, really, and it feels like we are, there's emotional intelligence being cultivated and emotional maturity, and there is a lot of compassion and empathy that is present in this cycle, and we are committing to the dream. There's a lot of psychic ability, a lot of channeling, a lot of communication with the ancestors, and it's a very spiritual time. It's a time where our spiritual world and our spiritual life is being deepened and enriched. So, and a lot of times that happens in what we perceive as the worst of times in the material realm. So, there's also, with the sun and the moon trine Saturn, there's an opportunity for mastery here. Creative mastery, spiritual mastery, emotional mastery. So there's a lot of beautiful, rich soulfulness being cultivated during these very tumultuous and seemingly dark times. There's a lot of support for the dream, and there's a lot of spiritual strength. Water, rebirth. Yeah. So, it's a time to definitely trust our intuition. We have strong instincts with this strong water presence, even psychic abilities. Go with the flow when there's all this water going on. There's a big shift in the collective consciousness happening, and we are all part of that. And so it's happening for us as individuals in terms of our own lives. There are personal transformations that are taking place, and the Scorpio new moon is a great time to plant the seeds around this personal transformation that you're going through, and how you want to rebirth yourself, you know, how you want to be born again into this new world that's emerging. Let's talk about everything. So we talked about the Mars opposition to Pluto. It kind of reminds me of the movie The Purge. But, you know, we got to go with it. It's happening, you know. Mercury in Scorpio is opposing Uranus. So Mercury is in Scorpio at the time of this new moon chart. Mercury is the detective, the private investigator, the psychoanalyst, you know. And he's been doing some PI work, some investigation, some deep digging into the shadows, and he's unearthing some surprising information. That's what the opposition to Uranus means. Surprise! There is some surprising information around money, around finances, and, you know, also around, you know, sex and possessions, and all of these topics are coming up. But this Mercury opposing Uranus is also trine Pluto and sextile Pluto. And so again, a deeply transformational time. You can't say it's good or bad. It's what is, and it's very creative and fertile, and we get to work with this energy. I talked about Juno and the T-square. Venus. So Venus during all of this. Venus is in Sagittarius. She's no longer in Scorpio. She's in Sagittarius, the goddess of love and beauty. She's got a vision for the future. She's, you know, talking about her philosophical point of view. She's galloping in adventures. She wants to travel. She wants to do things. And Venus is conjunct Pallas Athene. So Venus is playing chess, not checkers right now. Pallas Athene is the asteroid goddess who is the daughter and the sister and the strategist, and she and Venus are conjunct, and they are looking at their vision for the future. They are shooting for their target, and they're going to hit it. You know, they're going to hit it. And so they are on an adventure. Venus is opposing Jupiter at the same time. So this can be too much, you know, over the top. You know, it can be overindulgence. It can be, you know, talking too much, saying too much. But Venus is also at this time re-examining her values, re-examining her philosophy, and her beliefs, you know, her belief system. So that's all going on. If you haven't already, go back and watch my Venus and Sagittarius video. I talk a lot more about what all of this means, you know, and let's see, Chiron. So Jupiter is sextile Chiron, the wounded healer. There's an opportunity for healing, but Chiron is square Ceres. We have to pay attention to what we're eating. There's big issues with the food going on right now. This is all building up to the full moon in Taurus mid-month. And I'm going to do a separate video about that full moon. You know, the election. The Mars-Pluto opposition is exacting right before the election. And so all of these alignments are very present during the election as well. This energy, based on this new moon video, again, I already made my election prediction. I don't really want to repeat it. I feel that no astrologer knows exactly what's going to happen. We all have made our predictions. It looks like they both win, and there are a number of different ways that that could unfold. I've talked about the ways that I see that possibly unfolding already. I don't really necessarily want to do it again in this video. Go back and watch my election prediction video. Go back and watch my full moon of Aries video. I talk very much about different ways that this can all play out. Here, I just want to talk about the broad strokes, and you can kind of put it together. But part of the reason, okay, I'll just say it. I said that it looks like Trump is winning on November 5th. And when I look at the November 1st new moon of Scorpio video, and it's because Mars is in charge, the god of war. He's in charge this cycle, and it looks like he wins. But it could be, and on November 5th, he's in charge. However, if it could just appear on November 5th that Donald has won, and by the full moon and the new count, it could look like Venus has won, because Venus is the boss of the new moon. We may not have the exact count by November 5th, and that might be why when I made the prediction, it looked like he won. It's very close. They both have such strong Gemini energy in their charts. They have some similarities in their charts, and it's very hard to call. So again, it's a nail biter. It's a psychological thriller, maybe more like a horror story. But I wanted to look at some of the tarot cards that are associated with this new moon. So the month of November is the Chariot, which has a lot about riding forward into the future. I get this from the numerology of adding 11, 24. So 1 + 1 + 2 + 4, 1 + 1 + 2. Oh, this is the wrong card. That would be the 8. 1 + 1 is 2 + 2 + 4. That would be the 8. That's justice or strength. Oh gosh. Okay, so I had the wrong card out, and now I'm going to look for the right card because I'm not going to re-record this video, and it's going to make the video go a little longer. How did I do that? Oh, yeah, it is. It's strength. Okay, so we got to be strong during this time, and I think that new moon trine to Saturn shows a lot of emotional strength and fortitude that's available to us during this time. So this is the card for the month of November, strength. And isn't it interesting? We've got the male lion and we've got the lioness. We've got Donald, we've got Kamala. But there's so much about relationships and the divine masculine and the divine feminine and you know, how they're relating to each other in this cycle, you know, and so there's that. Don't know why I said the Chariot. Anyway, you get to see me in real time, make a mistake and come back from it. The moon is the card for the, let's see, the moon is the card for, is it the degree? I'm messing this up. Okay. The exact degree, the 6 of Cups. The 6 of Cups, friendship. Our friends are so important during this time. It's also a very fertile time for growing babies, growing flowers, growing money, growing businesses. It is very fertile cosmic soil amongst all the other stuff that's going on. And yeah, and it's important that we just connect to what's real in life. Our friends, nature, watching the beautiful sunrises. These are the things that, you know, putting our bare feet on the earth. These are the important things that ground us. The card for 11/124. I'm not going to go through all these cards because clearly I did some weird numerology before I got here. And the point is I wanted to talk about the astrology of the new moon. And now this video is almost over. And so I think I did enough tarot. But yeah, thank you for joining me. If you'd like a reading, contact me for a reading. I love to read. I read on Zoom, so I can read for people anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. It's my joy to read for people. My books are open for November and December. It's a great time to get a reading because not only for what's going on this month, but we can also look ahead at 2025, which has some really interesting astrology. So much is changing in the world, and also in all of our charts. And so it's a great time to look ahead. And, you know, it's also a great gift to get for people, you know, for the holidays, a reading about their 2025, because it's something that maybe people won't get for themselves. And it's unique and it's interesting. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you for joining me. Happy new moon of Scorpio.